Sinestro Green Lantern's Arch-Nemesis first appeared in Green Lantern number 7, published in 1961. The story was titled "The Day 100,000 People Vanished" and featured the writing of Broome and the pencils of Kane. In the story, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern of Earth, discovers that the entire population of the town Valdale has completely vanished into thin air. He's then promptly summoned by his superiors, the Guardians of the Universe, who knows exactly what went down in Valdale. Turns out that Sinestro is responsible, a former Green Lantern who went rogue. The Guardians inform Hal of Sinestro's origins. Like so many others before him, Sinestro of Korugar was chosen to wield the Green Lantern's light due to his bravery and lack of fear. At first, everything went well, and Sinestro valiantly fought evil to protect Korugar, but eventually the awesome might of the Power Ring began to corrupt his mind. Apparently, Sinestro lacked a certain psychological trait and was easy prey to the virus of power. Soon, Sinestro grew mad with power, feeling there was nothing he couldn't do. With his ring, Sinestro created himself a palace, and from there he conducted his Green Lantern business. Sinestro held audiences with the people of Korugar, allowing anyone to approach him with their problems. But he only took on the tasks he found interesting. When a citizen finally called him out on this injustice, the mad Green Lantern killed him on the spot. Shortly afterwards, Sinestro dissolved the High Council of Korugar and took command of the entire planet, declaring himself dictator. His reign of tyranny wouldn't come to an end until the Guardians conducted one of their routine checkups and discovered their pawn's mischief. As punishment, Sinestro was stripped of his ring and rank and banished to the antimatter universe of Qord. Qord was inhabited by nothing but evil creatures, primarily the Weaponeers of Qord, a race of foul warmongers whom Hal Jordan had faced on a few occasions. The Guardians hoped that Sinestro would perish on Qord, finally facing something more sinister than himself. But that didn't happen at all. Instead, the former Green Lantern allied himself with the Weaponeers. In return for making him their leader, Sinestro promised that he would get them their hated nemesis, Hal Jordan. Using a device to peer into our world, Sinestro learned that Jordan would be visiting the town of Valdale at a specific moment, and thus, at that moment, used another device to transport the town's entire population to Qord. By happenstance, though, Jordan had to cancel his Valdale visit, and thus avoided capture. Upon hearing all of this, Jordan must now somehow get to Qord and free the innocent Valdale citizens and defeat the nefarious Sinestro. Naturally, that was of course what happened, but the sinister Rogue Lantern soon returned again, and in his second appearance wielded what would become his signature weapon, a yellow power ring. Before you knew it, Sinestro was established as Green Lantern's Arch-Nemesis, obsessed with besting Jordan. This characterization and origin story remained for the next 30 years, and Sinestro went pretty unchanged for that entire period. However, by 1991, DC Comics decided it was finally time to reimagine the Korugarians' backstory. This materialized as a sequel to Emerald Dawn, a miniseries which had retold Hal Jordan's backstory, and it was naturally called Emerald Dawn 2. This 6-issue series establishes that Sinestro was actually for a brief time Hal's teacher in the Corps. A veteran Lantern with an impressive reputation, he was assigned by the Guardians to mentor the reckless rookie Jordan. This established a much closer and more personal tie between the characters. It was in fact Jordan who discovered Sinestro's abuse of the ring and then turned him into the Guardians. In this version, Sinestro wasn't driven mad by power. He was instead portrayed as a mentally unhinged control freak. He had turned his entire home planet of Korugar into a sterile police state. Unlike his old origin, Sinestro didn't do this out of malice. He genuinely believed it was the best for Korugar, and he also believed the Korugarians appreciated his actions. Deluded as he was, he couldn't see that his people actually hated him. Of course, Sinestro's origin would be further explored and retconned in later years. For example, his relationship with Jordan was fleshed out, and we learned that they were sort of friends. We also learned that he was very close friends with Abin Sur, Jordan's predecessor, and even engaged to be married with Sur's sister, with whom he had a daughter, Soranik Natu, a future Green Lantern herself. Now, Sinestro is portrayed more as an anti-hero of sorts, a man on a mission to save the universe, using any means necessary, including some very questionable ones. But yeah, the seeds for all of that were sown in Green Lantern number 7, the character's very first appearance. As for the story itself, it really isn't all that good. It feels like the entire comic was built around a simple concept. The entire population of a town disappears into thin air. I have a suspicion that the editor gave Broome this premise, and then he had to write the villain and plot around that. That's why it all ends up feeling so forced and convoluted. Of course, I have no proof of this, but I do strongly suspect it. If that's true, it's kind of funny that this is how the famous and immensely popular Sinestro came to be, basically by accident. excellent. The premise itself, the big draw of the comic, is now completely forgotten, while Sinestro is one of the most important parts of the Green Lantern mythos. Everything that happens in a comic is very forgettable, except for Sinestro's origin. I read Green Lantern 7 the first time over a decade ago now, and that part where his backstory is explained has always stayed with me. I've always had that image of a Silver Age Sinestro in a Green Lantern outfit sitting on his throne in the back of my brain. That image was burned into my memory. Despite the fact Sinestro is depicted as a pretty by-the-numbers villain, his origin story was very interesting and showed that he had a lot of potential, far beyond that of the other GL rogues. It was also cool to see another Green Lantern. We really hadn't seen much of the Corps at the time, only Abin Sur of course, and once Tomari. So Sinestro was the fourth Lantern to appear. The rest of the comic I could never remember, and I'm already starting to forget it again. There's nothing exciting about Hal and Sinestro's confrontation at the end. It's all very bland and boring, as is the mystery of the missing people and Jordan's plan to get the Quard. Still, I do recommend this to big Sinestro fans. It is after all historically important, his humble beginnings. Anyway, as always, remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.